welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Nigerian women thronged the National Assembly in Indian numbers to express their disdain on the rejection of women-related bills. Does this undermine the importance and relevance of women's contribution to the governance in Nigeria? We'll seek answers.
Barely 5 days after assenting to the Electoral Act 2022, President Muhammadu Buhari has written to the Senate to amend the newly signed act, is demanding voting rights for political appointees. We will be taking a look at this and the impact on the country.
And we will review the stories on the front pages of major dailies across the country. Welcome to the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye.
And I am Messi Boko. It's good to be back on your screen this beautiful Thursday morning.
Yes, it is Thursday morning. And Mercy, when I think of Thursday, I am just reminded that the weekend is close by. You don't know how it is in Lagos when you work from Monday till Thursday. I wished we were staying in Kano. You know, they have like just 4 work days in Nigeria. You know, we will be looking at the women who protested yesterday. But one thing I found really alarming was a video that trended on social media yesterday. And Mercy, lo and behold, we found some orderlies, you know, carrying tray for VIPs. They're practically becoming
When you say
errand boys.
orderly, you need to say the word, a police officer.
Okay, fine.
Dressed in
Police officer.
his
Yeah.
attire.
Mhm,
But I think
yes.
that this is something that's been ongoing for a very long time. And it's just the fact that, you know, maybe at this point in time, Nigerian police are fuming as regards, you know, the police officer that was, you know, acting like an errand boy. He was actually an errand boy, you know,
Way to
to
put it, yeah.
the political appointee. So, but like I mentioned earlier on, it's nothing new. It's something that's been ongoing, but fortunately or unfortunately, how you want to put it, it's just that we're in an era where there's a lot of smartphone that's been put out, and so we want to take, you know, make
Mercy, the
memories
place
of
is actually
everything.
very full.
Yes, we want to make memories of everything that's going on. These men, apart from, you know, carrying the plates now, they do carry the handbags. They do wash clothes. They run errands. They have
Even wash
now
cars.
they now do
Part of like the
chores.
domestic staff. among the
Domesticated,
VIPs.
you know, or domestic activities is what, you know, police officers. Now, let's even look at why you would want to hire, or you want to even have a police attached to you. I mean, in that situation now, if there's any confusion, if there's any attack, what we're expected to see is him holding a gun. Even though there's been a lot of argument over time that there should be a withdrawal, we need to withdraw police officers as at, you know, the same statistics that we still have up until we have the police updating the data and letting us know that we have. But right now, we constantly say that we have 800 police officers policing a population of 211 people. And then, because if you remember vividly, there was also, I think that the person in question, I mean, there's no respect for the uniform, there's no respect for anything, and that's what's going on.
Because they're actually representatives of the country. They're actually representing Nigeria.
No, but if you look at the primary function of the police as they were created, they are supposed to maintain peace and security, ensure protection of life, and that's so. Let's even agree that it's okay to have it's all right that you have a police officer. It's how, the elite in Nigeria, and that's the truth. The elite in Nigeria do not respect the police. They have constantly damaged the police force. They have contributed to all of that. Some people have actually said that, if you look at it, the young man does not want to, miss out on the little stipends he will be getting all of that. It doesn't necessarily matter. You remember vividly now that the presidency or the federal government is saying we're going to have an increment for police officers, 20%. How honest have we been? What is the level of implementation following that to the letter? And so sometimes if you find out, as much as we want to say that that's not an excuse for police officers to act differently, but we have not respected that. I want to say pigeon now because it sounds really nice.
No, because I know how really very saddening this particular scenario is, because like you have said, it is just a disrespect to the constituted authority in the country. In a country like ours, when we have issues of security bedeviling us, the northwestern part, the northeastern part, the issues of banditry, insurgency on the rise every other day, Nigerians are not secure, and then the bulk of our policemen are attached to VIPs who run your errands, not to be seen carrying your bags, not to be seen, serving you as it is. Mess, when I think about it, like, how have we sunk so low?
So we would have to move away quickly, but just before
well,
then...
I'm coming very emotional about this.
Before then, the point is, look at it. If you even have a police officer attached to you, why would you be engaging him? So let's even imagine there's 20 or 22, if I'm correct, to 100,000 citizens.
That's a far cry here in Nigeria.
Now, that's not what's going on. Currently, what we're experiencing is you have 600 personnel. So you have one police officer policing 600 citizens. Even if you want to make an excuse for it, we should be looking at one police officer policing 180. So 180, that's the ratio. 1:180. But rather, we're having 1:600. And the United Nations is saying 220 is to 100.
Okay.
Where, you have the smartphones acting very smart with smart people, and that's why we're having all of this information. So we're hoping that, the National Assembly, that's the 9th Assembly, they can do anything before they're out, or we're also hoping that the presidency would see this. There's no regard whatsoever. And now how do we expect that we respect the police? But we move away from that, and we'll be looking at another issue on top trending.
Yes, let's look at our education system. It is no longer the use that the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has been on one strike for some time now, and they have had meetings with the federal government. But this time around, the last one, they had nothing, savory seemed to have come out of it yesterday, because it ended in deadlock. Mercy, the issue of ASU, we have talked about ASU over time, not just on the show, even when we preach out in the office and every other thing. It seems as if we are becoming like broken records, because the issues are the same, Mercy. It's just as though we know what the issues are, we know the solutions, yet we are not looking in those directions, and at the end of the day, is the same ball game. The ASU will go on strike. They'll meet with federal government. They will not agree today. They'll meet again next week. They're meeting. Students are at home. Students are taking up to taking arms, engaging in various sorts of vices in the country. And at the end of it all, who suffers? It's just the student always suffer.
Yes. So I will reiterate. I have been part of the ASU strike. I'd experienced it 6 months away from.
How many years did you say? How many years did you say in school? Did you graduate after your 4 years?
I don't know. I couldn't. I'm not even able to calculate, because sometimes it's better not to even know what's going on, because you probably might just sink into depression and get very sad. So you just live on with the moment. Whatever happens, don't try to take into that. But I know that there was a time where we stayed back home for 6 months, and that's a lot. And you can't even tell, because at this point now, the 1 month ASU is going to go on strike, a lot will happen. So many persons will lose their lives. The people that wouldn't have died would die, because they are going to be somewhere they are not supposed to be. Because
Ukraine,
if you look at, of course, if you look at Eastern,
will be thinking of evacuating you, Mercy.
No, if you look at Eastern Europe, you find out that cost of schooling is very affordable. I mean,
is.
not necessarily, but not compared to when you simple. I don't even want to go by the ASU strike or not agreement. I mean, it's very obvious that if the government was respecting the agreement they entered with ASU, we probably want to be talking about this. How many years have we existed striking from 1999 up until now? You will be amazed that out of 23, we have done 8 years. If I read it correct, and that's it. So on the other hand, you also want to look at the fact that if you look at the class country, giant of Africa, as we constantly want to say, in primary schools, I'm just saying that people are still sitting on the floor. There are no desks. Not to even talk about that the environment is conducive. Not to even measure up with the technology that's going on.
Yeah.
So you probably have one teacher running the entire, So there's a lot to go in. And if you check the universities, it's not conducive. Look at the condition of the lecturers. Recently, there was a video that popped up, I think in Anambra State or Imo State, where you had professors. You can't even imagine that these are professors who have studied. They have spent their times reading. You need to see, it looks like an uncompleted building. It is, it's shameful.
It is.
We are not.
It told him barefaced that we saw pictures and videos of your children abroad. So the guy, imagine how he responded. That's to just show you the body language of those who are supposed to manage our education system.
Really, really sad, and that's the reason why people constantly leave. I mean, let's even look at it. The president, close to my lecturers, you walk into a hall, there's no light, there's no power supply, that would be the word, and the place is so hot, there's heat, no cross ventilation, and you expect them to work in that kind of environment, and you expect them to perform very well. We need to, we need to do better.
Yes.
At the end of the day, and so without even having to talk about ASU strike or not, what is the state of our youth? I saw a room where you have lecturers trying to struggle space. It makes nonsense of it. And you want to talk about the salary of a professor? They don't even end at 500,000. I don't know if it's going to be a plus now. How we have allocated.
Keep on going in circles. At the end of the day, the same old stories are being told. Federal government will tell you that they have released 92 billion in the war. They want to fight for Ukraine. Mercy, Nigerians are volunteering to go to Ukraine too.
I really say, I'm just worried that a group of persons, if there's anything to really, really go by, would volunteer. You were in a space. You were talking about a war zone, and you're talking about a place where you don't know where the next missile will come from. And recently we saw that in Kharkiv or thereabout, a missile that was released from Russia took down a particular university, if I'm not mistaken. So you have people who understand what's going on in a particular, so that they don't understand and want to go there.
Mission.
It's confusing. To be very honest, I really don't understand the rationale behind the fact that you have Nigerians living in Nigeria who want to go to Ukraine to be part of, the force. If you want to even look at alliance and relations, it feels like, it looks like Nigeria might just have some kind of alliance. This is me just saying, alliance with Russia, because of, if you talk about patronage of, military weapons and alignment. At some point, there was some kind of agreement that was signed that, we'll probably be getting weapons from it. 2021, the Russian military will probably, be training the Niger. So there's a little bit of saying, you guys probably might just have an alliance with Russia, and then Nigerians in Nigeria, with all of the insecurity concerns that we're faced with, are volunteering and saying, hey, we're willing to go to Ukraine and, support what's going on there. I can't explain the rationale behind that. I don't even understand.
Well, like we'd say in our local parliament here, let everyone just stay in their own lane. Let's
No, but you can't stop that, because they actually put out that publicity and asking that people should come volunteer. They made that available, so they're looking for people, and people have volunteered. And the Nigerian embassy has submitted the list to them. That's according to the reports available to us.
Well, the last story we'll be looking at a bit related to the Ukraine invasion, Russia invasion on Ukraine, but still also related to football. Do you support Chelsea?
No, I'm a Liverpool supporter, and it was really great to see that Liverpool actually, did a great one, with the penalty that happened.
Yeah.
And so is really, really great. But if you want to look at Abramovich selling Chelsea, at the end of the day, you would want to agree with me that he's acting in the interest of Chelsea.
Why do you think it's in the interest of Chelsea?
Because he put out a statement. Let's even see if I'm able to take that particular. No, he's actually acting in the interest. I'll probably not go through the entire thing, but maybe a paraphrase or of what he actually is, as well as the club sponsors and partners. Now, this is how you think as a businessman, because right now, businesses that are being owned by classified as those who are part of the oligarchy.
True.
And so what the oligarchy kind of business, or build a club like that and see it just go away. This is a time to win back the heart of the people.
All right. That's as much as we can take. We wish Chelsea and Roman Abramovich the best in their, whatever they decide to do eventually with the club. But we'll take a quick break and we will be going straight to the front pages of the newspapers in a moment, and we'll call that Off the Press. Stay with us.
Life can be fun, and Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games, Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed.
Wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, instant voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The lazy man does not rouse what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare. Sundays, 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
This morning, Ezekiel Yaito. Good morning. I'm sure that we're able to ratify the audio issues, but however, thank you. I start off with the Leadership newspaper this morning, and our focus would be on the bold caption. The head is on the Leadership newspaper. Looking at the front page, you have Russia-Ukraine war, 200 Nigerians applied to join Ukrainian army as federal government evacuates 2,090 today. And that's what the Leadership caption said today. Air Peace, Air Max to airlift, 650 for Hungary, 350 from Poland, and 940 from Romania, and 150 as well. Federal government, Air Max, 8.5 million for 5,000 evacuees, and 370 Nigerian students trapped in Ukraine. Evacuate all Nigerians, not only student, ex-ambassador Ghana Yisar tells government. Moving away from that, fuel scarcity hits aviation sector. Jet A1 sells for 440 naira per litre. I remember we having this conversation sometime last week right here on this platform. Consumer Commission asks airlines to suspend airfare and hike. Fuel subsidy pact. International Monetary Fund asks Nigeria to consolidate on fiscal position. IMF, I think we took that already. As Christians begin Lent, Khan decries rising insecurity. Now, this is some of the headlines on the Leadership newspaper.
And away from the Leadership, we'll move on next to the Independent, Daily Independent newspaper this morning. And the lead story, Nigeria currently governed by myopic leaders, that's according to Jiga, former chairman of INEC, says revolution may become necessary. And just below that, there is a pictorial there. And Russia invasion of Ukraine, federal government earmarks $8.5 million to evacuate Nigerians. Fourth batch of evacuees arrive today. On the red strip there, commuters groan as fuel scarcity bites harder. Mom freezes house, kills mother, 3 children while asleep in Ebonyi State. That's a sad one. Above that story, over 200 terrorists killed in the last 4 days. That's attributed to the Niger State government. Above the masthead, Commission orders airline operators to hold airfare hike. Beside the story, women protest National Assembly rejection of pro-equality bills. With the writer, men against affirmative action for
Nigeria's oil production quota as Brent hits $111 per barrel. The question, Justin, here is, we remember that as of December and January 2020, between December 2021 to January 2022, OPEC has actually, talked about the fact that we have not met the quota production. But one would think that we'll take advantage of this window and do better.
All right.
Insecurity may scare voters in 2023. That's what the Christian Association of Nigeria is quoted to say. Federal government shifts concession of 4 international air, and that's also on the Punch. Gender bill, no going back, says National Assembly as women fumes. So it's like, just leave it up until we get to another time, maybe, just maybe. Nigerians suffering under reckless misrule of elites. Jega is quoted. Vice President Jemo Shibajo, Sonwo-Olu, Oyetola, others.
It's the Nation newspaper. The main story there, court kicks off process for Kerry's extradition to the United States. And there's a pictorial there that's registered in Abuja to join Ukraine troops. Buhari okays $8.5 million to evacuate stranded 2,090 Nigerians. We have lost 2,000 civilians. UN is saying, okay. Just beside that particular story, OAU students' death hotelier, 6 others arrived in Osun to face trial. More stories on the Nation suffering. Our guest will take a quick break, and Ezekiel Nyaeto will be joining us to look at some of the issues
and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
If you want to lead people, you need to remove everything they can worry about outside of you. We treat leaders as if they are these super robot human beings that are just there, they can't make mistakes. They would make mistakes. But what differentiates a leader from every other person is actually that bird's eye view. You could look at someone that says, this guy is a leader, he's not so great at what he's doing. It's easy. I can tell you, when I became CEO, I forgave every CEO I've ever worked with in my life. Because there is a lot of work, a lot of things you don't normally see. And followership is more of a sacrifice than leadership is. So it requires you sacrificing your time to be able to help someone else get his goal up.
One-on-one, showing on PlusTvAfrica on Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. and Saturdays at 1:30 p.m.
Thank you.
All right, let's look at some of the stories, that are really trending, and the whole Nigerians, volunteering to go to the Ukraine, to Ukraine rather, to fight for them is actually trending. Various.
If I put up because they really care about Ukraine or anything, but it's because they just wish there's something they could do to earn an honor. They will choose to volunteer so that they can make the money, because the thought of coming back is not as pleasing to them, because in the first place, there's a reason why they wanted to leave the country. And some of them actually either blackmailed their parents or really put such terrible pressures on parents who could not afford. And as a result, they probably had to sell property. The federal government is just not. And I literally held Thanksgiving service the day that he had his master's and back to Nigeria. What am I saying? Ukraine was one of those safe havens where you could have quality education at a relatively affordable price. So these are all the things we have to sit down and look. How do we make sure the university in Nigeria, the public universities, are up to par? How do we start to prioritize education such that instead of our spending so much money sending our children out, people from neighboring countries will start to come to Nigeria? And it comes to what I've been talking about all along, a government that thinks. Probably as we progress, we'll be able to just hit some notes that are very important for us to do so.
Ezekiel, let's also look at the Punch newspaper this morning, where the caption talks about OPEC increasing Nigeria's oil production quota as we're looking at $111 per barrel. Now, you have some people in the sector, stakeholders, and some of the persons who are saying that it doesn't really make any difference, because people are thinking that with the current crisis or the conflict that's going on between Russia and Ukraine, it might just be a time where Africa can actually benefit, especially for countries that are exporting, or oil producing countries and exporting. So, but what do you think about this? Do you see Nigeria benefit?
So the reason is that the money's coming in. It does not give you confidence as to being properly managed. But at the same time, you're going to have, cost of importing crude or fuel is going to be higher, because the cost of crude is higher. But if we had this situation where we have a deal that when you buy our crude, you take a percentage and return the rest to us as fuel within this context. But we give this our crude, we are happy to collect so much money, and those will turn around and send you back fuel, and they collect on the higher, because the refined product is always higher in cost than the initial product. And then they get all the derivative and byproducts. And you are telling me that 6 years down the line, a government is not able to fix one refinery. Meanwhile, during this time, who is doing the analysis of the cost of the staff of these refineries to the national treasury on a monthly basis? We just don't have a thinking government, and it bothers me. So the price of crude going up international market is bad news to me, very bad news to me, because it means that by the time you talk in terms of subsidy, when this will come back to tell you what subsidy is, you discover that you are collecting 5 and getting back 10. You are collecting 6 and getting back 11. Who is thinking? Who is just thinking in this country?
And also, looking at the fact that as of January, the production quota by OPEC was that we should be producing 1.63 million barrels, for us. Very sad.
My first question, it should be on the production head of what we have on a daily basis. We will know how it goes out. We will know the revenues we get, and we will know when to tighten our belt because something has gone wrong. We will know how to talk to maybe people in the creeks who are not a problem right now, if you ask me. All these are things that this opaqueness of governance, this lack of transparency, lack of accountability, they are the perfect environment for corruption. And one of the three cardinal principles, right now, let me even put on record that I have forgiven my president of every wrongdoing. Every wrongdoing he has done so far, the past 7 years, I've forgiven him completely. And I want to put it on record. I won't say that if he signed the bill, I will give him a cow. That offer stands. If he tells me where to keep it, I will take the cow there for signing that electoral act. And I think our conversation should move into that, because they are forecasting 5 years from now. Look at, by the time they started talking about COVID-19.
All right, Mr. Nyaitoga, because of time, let's try and get some other stories in so that we can do so much. The Nation has another story as its banner headline, and it is
is burning. My guy, I don't know if you know where we are in Nigeria today. And I'm coming to talk about Kyari. How's the bunny they pursue rat for bush? For me, it's a non-issue. Mine is, how do we get this country working right? Because the principles are the 5 people